everyone, my name is Kristen. Welcome back. If we haven't met, we talk about makeup and God. We do devotionals on here together and we get ready together and we just talk about God. Welcome. If you haven't already, please subscribe and join the family so that you will know when I upload new videos or when I post on the community or I do a short. So you could be notified of that. So go ahead and subscribe and like, and let's get into today's devotional. I'm going to start off with sunscreen. I wanted to talk about that this weekend. We saw Elevation Nights. And if you're not familiar with what that is, there's a church in North Carolina called Elevation Church, and they have a worship team that makes albums, and the pastor writes music. Anyway, so they're touring the country, doing some of the songs that they wrote, or they collabed with another artist. And then Pastor Furtick did a message. And I went with my daughter and my husband, and it was amazing. We went to Kansas City, which is 3.5 hours from us, and we just had such a great time. I really like Pastor Furtick, so it was just really, really cool to see him in person and to get to experience him and his worship team, and his wife spoke a little bit, and his daughter came up there so on the stage. It was just so much fun. So if they come to a city near you, you should check it out because it was a blast. So that was our weekend. Let me know in the comments how your weekend went. I drove a lot on Sunday, and so it made the weekend, at least it made Monday tough. Let's just say that. I was not with it yesterday. I was so tired from the weekend, but it was great. I had such a good time. My daughter had a good time, and we just were worshiping God with, I think, 8,000 other people is what they said. I was like, wow, that's a lot of people. It was a blast. So much fun and so important to worship together, right? So we are on day 6 of the devotional Chosen, Remind Yourself of the Gospel Daily by Matt Brown. Go ahead and download the Bible app if you haven't already. I think I'm just going to, for now, do devotionals that are in the Bible app so they're accessible to y'all, and we can do them together. But yeah, today, day 6 was a little dark. It's got some dark themes and a dark story. So if you're sensitive to that, I'm just going to give kind of the cliff notes. If you're really interested in that story, go ahead and read, and we'll go over that now. He talked about people in Nepal called the Badai, maybe it's Badai. They are a group of people in that region that are considered worthless, right? And I think they're all females. And so it's really sad. They get trafficked out by their families because they're just a poor group of people, and they consider, to justify it, they consider the girls to be pretty much not human, to justify them selling them and trying to get out of poverty. Anyway, so there was just this story of a friend he had who knew one of the girls who was going to be sold, and how, I think did she get sold? Yeah, so she had to pretty much leave her family, her home, her mom, because her dad was trying to sell her. And so his friend, Matt's friend named Ryan, was just telling her about Jesus. So he was telling her about Jesus and how, because could you imagine what she was probably going through, just thinking her family had to, maybe her mom didn't want her to be sold. So she knew her mom cared, but she couldn't stay with her mom. And to know that her dad and probably other family members just wanted to get rid of her and use her. in that way. Like, I'm sure she felt, I can't know exactly how she felt, but I'm sure there were parts of her that just felt like, well, who do I belong to? Like, nobody wants me and no one cares about me. And other than her mom, I can't be with the one person who I feel like cares about me. Not to speak for her, but we can all imagine what that might feel like. So he was telling her about God and Jesus and how you belong to the family of Christ now. Like, you have a Father who loves you and who would never sell you. Jesus sold himself for us, right? And she found a lot of just hope and peace with that. And that's what the gospel brings. It brings hope and peace to situations that in America, not that there isn't anything like that going on in America, but that we can hardly imagine, right? I mean, we don't see that in our everyday life in general. So it's giving hope to people that really don't have that hope in them naturally because of the bad things that are happening to them in this life. And then he talks about the blood of Christ and how maybe a modern mind doesn't understand why we celebrate the blood. And it relates to this story because I guess you could say, for that girl in particular, her bloodline kind of let her down, right? Her family, our families are supposed to be the people who take care of us and want us to be successful and thrive in life. And she probably felt betrayed. And I'm sure that there are other people who have a similar story, or even, maybe something in your own life happened where you feel like the people that are your blood were supposed to be there for you. Maybe they didn't, or, whatever happened. I don't know y'all's story. But the point being, why the blood, right? I keep looking over here because I have my notes pulled up. And people are like, well, what's the big deal with blood? Because we have been bought by the blood of Christ. And now we have a new bloodline, and it's a bond much deeper than our human bloodlines, like our family bloodlines. Not that family isn't important, but for people that maybe feel like their family doesn't understand them or doesn't support them, you have a deeper bond with Jesus, with his blood that he bought you with. Does that make sense? And so that's why as Christians, we like to think about the blood of Christ. I like the point that he brought up that the gospel goes beyond purging our past of its sin. It purges our entire ancestry, lineage, extended family of its shame. I think that is a great point because, I think people can get stuck in family shame or family bondage or family things that struggled with through generations. Like in my family, depression has kind of been something that a lot of us have suffered, like in my extended family. So you could say that there's a generational, what's the word? Susceptibility to depression. And that could be hard when it's okay, well, I don't have any control over how my family in the past, my great-grandparents dealt with hard things or depression, but following the gospel and following God and giving myself a new name kind of frees me from any kind of bondages that they felt, if that makes sense. There's a freedom there. We can't control where we were born or who is in our family, or for these Bidet people, but these people of Nepal, they can't help that that's the family they were born into. They can't help that they are female and thought of as dogs, basically, less than dogs, dirt. I mean, that they had no control over that, right? All they have control over is how any of us react to situations like that, right? Or our circumstances. We cannot control our circumstances. God never promised us a life of ease, right? He promised to be there for us through the hard times. I think I read recently that this is the closest to hell that we'll ever be, right? And then when we get to heaven, there'll be no more pain, and we won't be controlled by our circumstances. So yeah, let me know your thoughts below. What do you think about this story? So I was kind of doing some research on the people that live there in Nepal and are a part of that group, and this website came up that I'll link below, that if you feel like you want to donate to that, to the helping of these people, I'll put that in the description box below, just a link that you can donate or get involved somehow, or just read the story in more detail. I didn't want to go too far into detail just because it's such a sensitive topic. But yeah, I'll leave that below if you're interested. He said, the blood of Jesus marks you as family for all eternity. So there's hope in that, right? There's hope that doesn't matter who your family was or is, or what they've done, or what you guys agree with or disagree with, or how maybe fights in the past. Doesn't matter. You are part of God's family now, which is just gives a lot of hope and freedom to people. So we'll go ahead and do the verse that they chose for today. It's Romans chapter 8, verses 14 through 17. As I apply some blush, I'm just using my Believe Beauty there's 3 palette thing. Right when I bought it, the bronzer fell out. Not that I would have used the bronzer. I think it was a little shimmery. But I just used the blush. Okay, so for those who are led by the Spirit of God are the children of God. The Spirit you received does not make you slaves, so that you live in fear again. Rather, the Spirit you received brought about your adoption to sonship. And by him we cry, Abba, Father. The Spirit himself testifies with our spirit that we are God's children. Now, if we are children, then we are heirs, heirs of God, and co-heirs with Christ, if indeed we share in his sufferings, in order that we may also share in his glory. And that is a very, very hopeful message, that we are adopted, right? And adoption was a really big deal back then. Like when you were adopted in the days of Paul, which is who wrote the Romans, you were never allowed to be disowned. Like the family that adopted you, sometimes they were never allowed to desert you, right? Or just say, oh, this isn't working out, bye, So it was a really big deal to be adopted back then. So that just gives more meaning to these verses, that we are adopted by God. So we are in his family, and he will take care of us. There is a lot of hope that comes with that, and it's a good feeling to know that God thinks of us as his children, right? Because if you're a parent, you know how special that is. You're important. You're important to God, and he loves you. So I did my eyebrows. I just finished mascara. I use this ColourPop Just a Tint lip thing in Z-Boys. It smells like peaches. I went with a peach theme today. So that is it for today. For day 6, tomorrow, Thursday. There's only one day left. Thursday we'll do day 7, and then we'll start a new one I'm really excited about, by a person named Jackie Hill Perry. I don't know if you all have heard of her. She's fantastic. She's written books. She travels around the country and does conferences. Look her up on Instagram, because she'll talk on there about God and just some things that are on her mind. And she's really, really gifted. So I enjoy her, and I'm excited to do a study that she wrote just for the Bible app. So like I said, if you haven't downloaded that, go do that. So thank you for hanging out with me today. Let's go ahead and do our outro, and I will see you all soon. So this is Numbers chapter 6, verses 24 through 26. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. See y'all later. Bye.